Hey, what's up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everybody's doing well. In today's video, we're going to dive into CSPR, the native utility token on top of Casper's network. We're going to take a look at a few price charts for Casper, Bitcoin, XRP, and maybe a few others, and then we're going to dive into some recent news and announcements. Hope you enjoy. Okay, first up, we have the Casper price chart on the weekly time frame side by side with the Bitcoin weekly price chart. We're going to be comparing different retracements back into reaccumulation before an all-time high price. We'll also look at the 2015 bear market cycle. And I want to talk about the Casper supply, the tokenomics, the features of the network, and put all of this information together to consider the future potential of Casper with success. We're also going to compare some other layer 1 smart contract platforms and their previous valuations during bull runs, and see what would be feasible for Casper knowing the inflation rate, knowing the total supply, and different valuations in the future. And I want to talk about market cap, which is essentially a social construct. So if you see Bitcoin at a $500 billion market cap or a $1 trillion market cap like it was in the past, that is not the amount of liquid money available in Bitcoin at the time. It's just an equation, and to get the market cap for any asset is you take the circulating supply, so the amount of shares or tokens in circulation being traded, multiplied by the last traded price. So you multiply those numbers together, circulating supply and last traded price, and you get market capitalization. Now, there was a really cool study 4 to 6 years ago by JP Morgan going over Bitcoin, and I believe these were the numbers. If you guys find this actual study, please let me know. I know I did a YouTube video on it, I think in 2018. So basically, JP Morgan, one of the biggest banks in the world, was looking at Bitcoin's market cap at 300 billion during the 2017 high. And what they discovered, as Bitcoin had a $300 billion market capitalization or valuation, was there was not $300 billion liquid in it. And they estimated about $50 billion of that $300 billion was actually liquid. So that's about 1/6 of the entire market cap, or 16% available if everybody were to sell. So just remember, there are bullish and also bearish considerations when you're looking at market cap. So the bullish side would be it doesn't take as much money as you actually think to push the price up, and for certain alts to have crazy market caps and trade at very high prices for a brief period. So it really doesn't take as much money as we think to push price up. It's actually just based on the last traded price of the token and how greedy the buyers, sellers, and speculators are at the time. So that's bullish. The bearish consideration is if we're in a bearish market instead of a bullish or greedy market, it could be very fearful. Meaning the perspective of buyers, sellers, and speculators change because they're based in fear, and they're actually willing to trade at a much lower price. And this could tank market cap as well. Now, this is a great tweet by Tokenizer. The total crypto market cap across the board is approximately 1.2 trillion. So if we're looking at the JP Morgan study, and in reality there's only 16 to 20% that was actually liquid and a fraction of that value, it's safe to say there is not $1 trillion liquid in the crypto market cap today. When we're at an all-time high of 3 trillion, I'd be curious if we even had $1 trillion liquid in the market to reach those crazy high valuations. So we have some of the world's largest companies, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Saudi Aramco, Amazon, and Nvidia, and their market caps are all over 1 trillion at least, if not trillions and trillions of dollars. So I'd be very curious if the true amount of liquid money in these valuations is 16%, 20%, 30%, heck, even 50%. My point is, it doesn't take as much money as we think to reach these crazy valuations. So now taking a look at Casper and just looking at the supply and understanding the tokenomics, because this is one of the most misunderstood things in retail that I see, and I don't think people just plot the numbers and realistically look at this and think about what's actually feasible. We have to remember during the last bull run, Solana did over a 500x, Cardano from its low did over a 160x return. Its supply was almost 3 times larger than Casper's supply today. So it hit $3.10 for ADA, an all-time high market cap of $99 billion with a circulating supply at the time, and it's higher now, is $32 billion. So if ADA did this and hit $3.10 and Casper actually hit this valuation today, that would be over an $8 Casper today. Now, I'm not saying an $8 Casper right now. Of course, I'm open to anything in the future, but just to entertain, if these alts did 10, 50, 100x's from their lows, is it really that crazy to see Casper have similar potential with the success case? And talking about the inflation rate, remember ADA, HBAR, their total supply is 50 billion, so that's roughly 4 to 5 times larger than Casper's supply. Now, if we consider the 8% inflation rate and plot that out on an annual basis and look at the growth of Casper, would it affect the price potential that much? So we have this video clip here of the CEO of Casper Labs that we've shared before, where he claims that Casper's network will be at full capacity between 2027 to 2030. And what I did 2 weeks ago is I took the total supply of Casper at the time and I added an 8% inflation rate to see the total supply in the coming years, and just to look at that and then consider market cap and see what would be feasible for Casper's price in the future. So I highlighted these yellow boxes here of when he believes Casper's network will be at full capacity. So if this were to be the case, I would assume we would see big price action well before this day. So looking at Casper's total supply under 12 billion and adding 8% every year or every 12 months just to look at the growth of the supply. By 2027, the total supply would be 16 billion. By 2030, the total Casper supply would be 20 billion. And all the way down here in 2036, with a 32 billion circulating supply, this supply is when ADA hit over $3 plus. And I just want to emphasize that Casper will not have that supply for 13 years. So now looking at Casper today, we can see circulating supply, 94% is in circulation, all public-private sales are done. This is a good thing, the band-aid has been ripped off, and roughly 75% is locked up in total stake bonded, securing the network. So if 75% of the total supply is locked up, that leaves 25% for retail, exchanges, and enterprise applications. So taking these numbers, the total supply minus the 75% locked up leaves 25% available, or around 3 billion tokens in total. And if we were to assume that 75% year-round is roughly staked, which would be amazing, maybe even higher in the future, this actually leaves a far less amount actually available or actually in circulation. So instead of 16 billion, if 75% was actually staked and bonded, leaving only 25%, we're talking only 4 billion actually in circulation. So these are some of the considerations I have, and for all of these metrics, I'm just using total supply because we don't actually know the exact amount in circulation. So all of these estimates are actually more conservative. So 75% stake bonded, if we can stay around that, even better, leaving 25% of total supply in circulation that's available for enterprise use cases, exchanges, DEXs, etc. And a few things to consider. Remember, HBAR's circulating supply just increased today. It is still under 32 billion, but Casper will not have that supply for 13 years. So if you're somebody that believes that yes, HBAR can hit $1 or $2 plus, then you better add a multiplier effect for Casper of 2 to 3 times higher. So 2 weeks ago when I took this, Casper circulating supply 94%, XRPs was 52%, HBAR circulating supply was 63%, and Algo was 72%. So Casper has the highest amount already in circulation, the band-aid, and in my opinion, the max pain has been ripped off in terms of actual supply increases. So also, here's the equation to determine the APY. If you go to CSPR.live, you're going to see the circulating supply, you're going to see the total supply, and you're going to see the amount stake bonded. And you can see this APY 10.67%. So the staking rewards of over 10% APY, which auto compounds, is higher than the 8% inflation rate. So here's the equation. The APY is actually determined by taking the total Casper supply, dividing it by the total stake bonded. Once you get that amount, you multiply it by the 8% inflation rate, or 0.08, and you'll get the exact APY right there. So this is always fluctuating and determined by the total stake bonded on the network. As this number changes, this will determine the APY. But typically, I would say this is designed to fluctuate between 9 to 12% year-round. We know the 8% inflation rate can be removed altogether if validators decide to vote when Casper's price appreciates. We know different transaction fees for Casper is the native gas token, for delegating and undelegating 2.5, and for WASM or WebAssembly smart contract deployments, this can vary. It could be 0.2 Casper or it could be 20 Casper, and this really depends. So just know that the Casper token CSPR is used for all fees on the network as a utility token or gas token. The more computation and transactions on the network, the more demand there is for Casper. So as the CEO says, this is basically like an AWS credit. So all these Casper fees, what's interesting is they go to reward the validators on the network and most likely get added to the total stake bonded, or that percentage of the total supply that is locked up, which is further reducing the Casper in circulation. So this is the type of flywheel effect we talk about with success and actual adoption and computation on the network, and see why the future is exciting with mainstream adoption of enterprise applications. And one single enterprise application at scale would have more transactions than the entire Ethereum network. That is one enterprise company. We've talked about all of this. If you guys want to pause it, remember that the CEO of Casper, his roommate back in 2010, basically accounted for 5% of hash power for the entire Bitcoin network. He's a super smart guy, successful angel investor. I encourage you guys to read a lot of the blogs available on NASDAQ as well. He was a huge investor in Filecoin, a lot of early projects, Ethereum. He's a top 20 wallet holder for ETH and invested early into a lot of companies before they launched, including Hedera. And there's a lot of catalysts, but at this point, guys, we're just waiting for adoption. We're waiting for more things to come in bridges to bring the computation on the network. So the only way we can entertain massive success for Casper is if they get those high levels of computation of the Casper token. And tons of huge things that we've mentioned in the past of a variety of use cases. We're talking dozens in supply chain, in financial contracts, and getting insights for cash flows, for smart cities, for IoT tracking. They had the first NFT minted from space that was highlighted by NASDAQ in tandem with WiseKey and SpaceX. They have hybrid solutions, public solutions, private solutions, all depending on what the actual enterprise customer needs. Building stablecoins, central bank digital currencies, retail use cases, e-commerce, government use cases. And then talking native transfers and then even WASM deployments per block and talking about sharding capabilities to increase throughput massively. So just looking at this, if Casper crashed to a $100 million market cap, the price would be just under 1 cent. So we can look at today around 4 cents. This was made 2 weeks ago, FYI. And just going down, at a $1 billion market cap, we're looking at a 9-cent Casper. At $3 billion, we're looking at 27 cents, where there's also an open gap. We can see down here, around that 43-cent level, where there's an open gap for Casper at the 702 Fibonacci retracement. That would be a $5 billion market cap for Casper. Now remember, a variety of alts during the bull run in the top 20, they were hitting between $10 to $20 billion market capitalizations. So if we're looking at a $15 billion market cap, which is completely feasible, in my opinion, not financial advice, provided we get transactions and the bull run comes, that's $1.35. Now that's interesting because that's also where Casper's registered all-time highs on a variety of aggregators like CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, but that's also where the Casper daily candle body closes are in May of 2021. So believe it or not, I know prices haven't been back up there, but I do believe those levels of candle body closes for daily and weekly are very important long term. And what I consider like a big success case and completely obvious would be a $50 billion market cap. There have been alts in the past that have done this. And provided the crypto asset class grows and market cap grows, I absolutely believe that Casper has the potential to hit a $50 billion market cap with success. And that would be well over $4, as you can see right there. And Casper's all-time low is about 2.2 cents, and we can see at a $25 billion market cap, that would roughly be a 100x return from the all-time low. It would be almost $7 if we hit Solana's all-time high that it had in 2021 with a $75 billion market cap. We can see ADA at 99 billion. Casper would be well over $8. We can see Luna, a variety of other projects, and just for comparison. So we talked about a variety of interviews of Scott Walker. Highly recommend you guys check it out, Casper co-founder. So we have one on Altcoin Edge. Definitely watch this if you have time or you're interested to learn more about Casper. We also have another one with Amir. So this is Scott Walker, co-founder of Casper, giving his 2 cents and his personal views of Casper and its potential. And he was an early investor in Ethereum, big crypto guy. And what's interesting is he has some very, very high valuations for the future of the total market cap of crypto. Keep in mind, he did say this during the bull run. I know we're all very euphoric and excited, and I'm very interested to see if some of his predictions come to pass because I believe they do. I don't think it's a matter of if, I just think it's a matter of when, per regulations and a variety of other factors. And what's interesting is Scott believes that we're going to see the total crypto market cap in the dozens of trillions of dollars, and we're sitting at $1 trillion today. Just talking about the value that will be created for public crypto networks, for enterprises, for decentralized finance, for total value locked, but also total value represented of a variety of other asset classes. So bonds, all types of debt instruments, all types of real estate, tokenized intellectual property, you name it, and he thinks this will be split evenly across the crypto market between Bitcoin, other smart contract platforms, Ethereum, Casper, Polkadot, Atom, HBAR, between DEXs, NFT ecosystems, stablecoins, and liquidity pairings between stablecoins and a variety of L1s. So I'm very excited to see where the future goes, and if we used his analogy of having a fraction of ETH's network as well, kind of like the test network or sandbox environment, I don't necessarily agree to that because Casper is superior to ETH, and it's basically what ETH is trying to do in the next 5 years, and it's already provably live on Casper today. But it's fun to imagine if ETH did go to an all-time high price and Casper had 3% or 6% of ETH's total market cap. And looking at ETH's all-time high market cap and just assuming Casper had 3% or even 6% of ETH's all-time high market cap, we're talking a $17 billion market cap or a $34 billion market cap for Casper. Now we know Bitcoin hit a $1 trillion market cap in the past and ETH hit about $500 billion. If it ever doubled and hit 1 trillion, 3% is a $30 billion market cap right out the gate. 6% would be $60 billion. So it's definitely interesting looking at, price potential for Casper. I know we're talking about it at 3 to 4 cents, but I just wanted to put this out there. And I hope this is interesting just to look at different potential and what would be realistic for Casper, considering if Casper's network does actually reach full capacity between 2027 to 2030. And after watching tons of interviews, it's pretty clear that Casper Network and the team and the executives over at Casper Labs, they're emphasizing they've already upgraded the network, 5-6 times, and that's what they're going to be doing in the future. So anytime there needs to be changes or more validators, making it more scalable, making it more decentralized, they're able to do that and adjust with the times. It's just hard to really estimate what that will look like in 5 years. But all in all, be sure to check out these interviews. I found them super interesting. And just remember that Casper is built to be future-proof. The future is unwritten, and they're meant to actually be versatile and adapt with the times. So the architecture of Casper's network is very upgradable. It is modular. You can drop in quantum keys and be quantum resistant like that. There's a lot of things they thought about that Ethereum just cannot do. And if Ethereum does upgrade again or is even able to do so, it's going to take 5 years at least. So this video is going to be pretty long, oops. But anyways, just going over some partnerships, even Skybridge backing Casper and having some equity in Casper Labs as well, the professional services team. This is a $3.5 billion fund, and they have one of the most impressive Rolodexes for Fortune 500 companies in the space. So 3.5 billion in assets today. And as we scroll down, remember, Casper is presenting at SALT conference. This is for the bigwigs, for real institutional Fortune 500 use cases. And from Anthony Scaramucci right here, I'm excited to see Casper further penetrate the Fortune 2000. Now, as we've heard in the past, there's approximately 45 NDAs with Fortune 500 companies. And he says, a process in which I know I can be a significant ally. If Casper can secure relationships with even 50 of these firms in the Fortune 2000, it will become the industry standard. And so really quick, going over the price charts, we've gone over this in the past, but this is basically my macro view. I believe that Casper is going to be following either this type of Bitcoin fractal as we go to an all-time high. I believe it's likely we're forming some type of 2018, 2019 bottom before we get a retracement. Then I believe we reject certain levels, go back into reaccumulation. And by the looks of the chart, and I'll adjust this as needed because there's no way to know, I think Casper could fall back down into that 5 to 10 cent level, maybe lower one more time, similar to Bitcoin in March 2020, just as XRP is actually drawing this structure today. So we'll talk about that. And if I'm wrong about some type of retracement, another crash, and then eventually grind to an all-time high price, maybe it's going to be a slow and steady, big cup and handle. Bear market's going to be super brutal. Maybe we get another low. Maybe I'm reading this incorrectly because we do have gaps below 3 cents. Now, all I have is gaps between 2 to 3 cents and a variety above between 12 cents, 18 cents, 27 cents, and as high as 43 cents. So I believe those gaps close. I just don't know the exact order that happens. So what I'm personally doing is holding at least 1/4 or 25% of my bag long term, set and forget. I'm staking it or delegating it for 10% APY just to auto compound those rewards, and I'm not going to look at it for a few years. However, I have a portion of my bag I want to try to trade and swing and sell at higher retracement levels, sit in cash as long as I'm not impulsive and enter another project, and wait for another retracement. So the way I'm looking at the market today is just as Bitcoin did the crash, retrace up to the 50% Fibonacci retracement with candle bodies, came back down below the 236, I think Casper has similar potential. Now, is it going to draw at the same speed? Is it going to draw shorter, longer? I have no idea, but this is the way I read it. And if you guys have a different view, please let me know. I'm super open to it, but this is how I'm viewing it right now. So turning the lights on from the high to the low using the weekly candle bodies. I like Casper because there's some charts that are newly launched, but they don't have a couple years of historical data and price history, so I can't see the full story. I'm a lot more comfortable looking at something that has already been in a clear distribution and is now in clear accumulation and is yet to break out of this big range. So looking at Casper and Bitcoin, we know Bitcoin did the retracement back from the 2018-2019 low, came up to the 50% Fibonacci retracement, waking to the 618. So sometimes they come up to higher retracements. We don't know where they're going to reject, and this is basically what I'm looking at for a big picture view. I believe Casper retraces, whether it's up to these highs around the 236 up to the 786 in this area. So whether it's 16 cents to even 43 cents and weekly candle bodies at 60 cents. I believe that we have a high probability in the future during the bull run when it launches that we get a retracement up to these levels and reject, similar to what Bitcoin did during March 2020, coming below the 236 but hitting the 0.059. So I use these fibs as well below the 236, and these are 50% retracements of the 236, which are super common. We can see the 11.8, the 0.059, and the 295. What's interesting about Casper, I know Algo absolutely got decimated and crashed. It closed all of its lower gaps. So does Algorand create another low? I think that's going to be dependent on Bitcoin, and anything is possible in crypto. But I'm very interested, with that being said, in Algo at these price levels. I know very few people even like the project. They're calling it a scam. Not financial advice, but I am very heavy in Algo as well at these levels because it is yet to even retrace. We know Casper, from its all-time low, even last year, it retraced up to 6 cents, did about a 180% move. HBAR did well over 100% move. XRP did over 100% move. And Algo is basically sitting at lows, and I believe that retracement also comes for Algo. And taking a look at XRP, I believe it's drawing a Bitcoin fractal, and it's going to rhyme to some degree. Certain areas might draw way longer, some might be very short, but we can see drawing the same fibs from the high to the low. XRP came up almost to the 618, and we can see candle bodies on the 50% retracement. This is exactly what Bitcoin did when we retraced from these lows and we crashed to the 0.059. Where did XRP crash from that level? The same thing as Bitcoin, creating a bottom at that 30-cent level at the 0.059 fib. And as I shared, I've been accumulating XRP for years. I'm only buying more if we ever create a new low. We have open gaps above at $1.59, but we still have open gaps below in the 20-cent area. So I'm staying very open-minded. We're going to see what happens. And I'm crossing my fingers that we get some positive regulatory clarity going forward. This would be one of the biggest and most positive catalysts in crypto history for any altcoin, period. So just as XRP retraced and crashed down here, we saw Bitcoin do the same thing before recovering towards the 50% retracement, coming up to that area. And whenever we get back up to this area around the 50% retracement or the open gap at $1.59, that's what I'm looking for. Are we going to break this and create an all-time high price? Because when Bitcoin broke through this 50% level after rejecting it the first time, we went into an all-time high price, reaching Fibonacci extensions up to the 3618. Now, when this happened, Bitcoin's market cap, ETH's market cap, they all hit a 4.236 Fibonacci extension as well. So all in all, I believe that Casper is following some type of fractal similar to XRP and Bitcoin's retracement right there. I think the way I'm reading it is that we get a retracement, another crash, an opportunity to buy back, which I will be using some of my bag to do so. I will not be gambling my long-term holds in case we keep going. It's just not worth the risk for me. And overall, just looking at Casper, we are less than 1 year away from the next Bitcoin halving. I believe that Bitcoin does see a big retracement and then potentially another huge crash. And in saying that, I think there's a lot of opportunity for certain alt projects before the next halving. So we can see right now, currently April 26th, 2024. And looking at different pivot levels, so this is Casper on the weekly with the Fibonacci pivots. We can see that we hit the pivot but came back down, and for the most part still sitting above the weekly 50. As long as we're above this yellow line on the weekly time frame, I'm still assuming this is a bullish trend. And we're still forming higher lows, but we still have open gaps down here. So any black swan event is possible. If we do ever crash and create a new low for Casper, I'm personally going to be buying. That's not financial advice. We're going to see how Bitcoin does this summer with the new leveraged futures ETFs available and approved, and I'm curious if these spot ETFs get approved sooner than later. I believe they're approved in the future with the growth of this asset class. I just don't know if they're going to be approved this time around. We know Fetch almost reached the R2 up to the R1. We have the pivot at 6 cents. We have the R1 at 10 cents, the R2 at 13 cents, and the R3 just under 18 cents near that double top right there. And as we shared in the past, if you took a Fibonacci extension of Casper's market cap and plotted a 4.236 extension, that would take us above the R3 to 20 cents right in this zone where that double top is up there. You can see Injective, we hit the P pivot, came back down, almost back tested the weekly 50 similar to Casper, and this would be a bullish case or scenario that I'm looking for if Bitcoin does continue the uptrend this summer, hitting the pivot, coming back down, and eventually making its way up to the R levels. You can see Render a while back hit the pivot, came back down, almost back testing, and then getting that move back up to the pivot. This is also what XRP has done, similar to Casper hitting the P pivot and coming back up. And I'm also trying to look at different fib levels. We know Bitcoin from its all-time high to the most recent low in 2022 has surpassed the 236. If we're doing that for Casper and just using the weekly candle bodies, because it's tricky because this is when Casper launched in distribution, the 236 is up to 16 cents. If we want to be more conservative, we could use other swing highs before capitulation to look for that 236 level. And same thing for Ethereum. From its previous all-time high to its most recent low during June of last year, we have reached and surpassed the 236. So just looking at Casper's price chart, I'm super interested in it, knowing that we have Casper 2.0 that's coming. We have dozens of projects with the grant program that are launching. We have the patent minting. Supposedly going to be starting in July, the absolute latest, so fingers crossed, because that's still $7 to $10 billion coming on Casper's public chain. And they're making these deployments without any substantial exchange listings thus far, which is super interesting. So we know Casper's hit the pivot, XRP's hit the pivot, Bitcoin, ETH. HBAR is still below the pivot, believe it or not. I'm actually bullish. I know a lot of people are not. And I'm still pretty bullish on HBAR this year. I'm just a big believer that HBAR does inevitably get up to that pivot by that lower wick right there, where a variety of alts have already hit. Some alts have hit the R1, R2, but some of them are lower caps. So I'm keeping tabs on more established or higher cap assets to reach and establish the P pivot for support. And there's been a boatload of alts that have finally made their way or are making their way to the 500-day moving average, and that's currently around 8.7 cents for HBAR. We know Casper hit this level and has kind of been riding it to some extent, using it as support and currently resistance. Just as Bitcoin was using it as resistance right there, multiple wicks, then establishing support and getting that impulse. You can see Ethereum also made its way up to the 500-day MA and then finally broke through, and we're currently above. XLM is still below it. We know Render smashed through this level. We know XRP is currently above the 500-day MA. And I personally believe that Algo is also going to make its way up to the 500-day MA. If we go, and this is a bull trap and another low, I'm buying. And I'm looking at different alts that have just been doing very, very well. We know Injective using the 500-day MA as resistance and then finally breaking through, establishing support and continuing the uptrend. Whereas FET first hit it, finally broke through and is now using that level of support and then broke through, and now it's back to being support. And last but not least, guys, we have iTrustCapital linked in the top of this YouTube video description. If you use the link in the video description to fund your account, you'll also get a $100 funding reward. I've been using iTrustCapital for over 3 years for tax-free trading and investing in the crypto asset class, and now with the recent integration with all nodes, they're going to be allowing a lot more assets available in the future. So I know during the bull run, a lot more people will be interested in the crypto market again and probably create an account. But the most money is made during crypto bear markets and positioning yourself before the hype and the excitement returns. So feel free to check this out. There's been over $7 billion in transactions. You can look at all the reviews on Trustpilot and Google. You can look at the worst reviews, the best reviews, and decide for yourselves. And they currently service all US residents, and they're looking to expand globally as well, which is super exciting. And just remember, going to how it works, I believe, looking at the pricing, this is free completely. There's no monthly fees, no hidden fees, management fees. The only time there's a fee is if you decide to trade, buy or sell, or convert your crypto. So if you're using this as a retirement account and simply holding it, you're good to go, and you can still reap the rewards of 0% capital gains or 0% taxes leveraging tools like a Roth IRA, which is what I personally have. So feel free to check out this link in the video description. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Huge thanks to all that hit the like button, and I'll catch you in the next one. My voice is gone. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.